Thank you. It's heavier every time, 10 o'clock. Welcome everyone to tonight's meeting of East Grinstead Town Council. It's lovely to see you all here after Christmas, so Happy New Year to you all. Here's to an exciting year ahead. We've got a lot to get through tonight. We've got a very busy agenda, so hopefully we can whiz through business tonight. And thank you for the members of the public that are in the room and on Zoom. Item number 1 on the agenda is public question time. I believe we have 2 people that want to speak, so we're just going to close the door quickly. Final councillors are coming in. The snow may have slowed a few members up getting in tonight. That's fine. Okay, everyone is in the room now. So I think we have 2 questions. So if those people are wanting to speak, they're both there.
Yes, there are 2 members of the public in the Zoom room who have indicated they'd like to speak. So Brilliant. This is your opportunity so to do so now.
So who's first?
Hi, good evening, everybody, and Happy New Year. Can you all hear me okay?
We can, yes.
Yeah, fantastic. What are the council doing to protect the public and especially children from abuse? And how do councillors justify attending events hosted?
Thank you very much for your questions there, and thank you for coming on. Really in public question time, we only really accept 1 question. There were kind of 2 very, very different and quite in-depth questions there. Which one would you like us to really focus on there?
Let's start with the first one in that case. You know, what are the council doing to protect people and especially children from?
Thank you. I think that's quite a complex question to answer without any pre-warning to that question, as any allegations towards that would need to be legally referenced for us to make a response to. Town Clerk, would you like to?
Well, the only thing I can say is that the Town Council are not the public authority who deal with protection of adults, protection of children. Obviously, that comes under West Sussex County Council. However, if the Town Council were aware and had concerns of that nature, then obviously the Town Council would report those as appropriate to the appropriate authority. I don't know there's much else I can really say, Chair. Sorry.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I think you're right. I think the Town Council isn't the right authority for that, but if you do have any questions or concerns, then you can obviously raise them through the official channels, through the clerk, and then we can take that up with West Sussex, who can take that up further on your behalf if you wanted to.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. I believe we have another question as well.
Cool. Can I go ahead?
Yes, please do.
Thank you. And good evening, everyone. My question is wordy, but it is distilled to 1 question, so please hear me out. So in the run-up to the Church of Scientology's International Association of Scientologists event in November 2023, church officials at St Hill failed to give the required 6 weeks notice for a premises licence to the licensing authority. Breaching such conditions is considered a serious offence with a possible fine of up to £20,000 and/or 6 months imprisonment stipulated under the Licensing Act. Yet despite this breach, the Church of Scientology received merely an advisory email to give notice in the future. Section 10.1 of the Local Government Association Model Code of Conduct, which I know is on the agenda this evening, states that councils should not accept gifts or hospitality, irrespective of estimated value, which could give rise to real or substantive personal gain, or a reasonable suspicion of influence to show favour from people seeking to acquire, develop, or do business with a local authority. So this, in my mind, raises questions about the relationship between the Church of Scientology and elected officials generally. Therefore, my question is such: to what extent do councillors agree that the continued attendance of Church of Scientology events, such as the Christmas light switch on, and the receipt of gifts, including charitable donations, risk undermining the integrity of the council and bringing councillors into disrepute?
Thank you. So again, a long question. Without prior notice, that is a lot to think about in a very short period of time. I believe that through the standards from Mid Sussex, your question, part of your question has already been answered, and that we have a robust system in place, which is actually going to be further discussed tonight about gifts and donations, that we are fully in compliance with all regulatory bodies about that, and all declarations are fully clear, transparent, and disclosed by all councillors that attend any event. In regards to charity checks, that is obviously quite common for charity checks to be collected and received by councillors on behalf of charities. In fact, tonight we are handing out checks to Sports Council awardees. So I'm not sure how charities give influence in that way, can be influenced that way, and that's quite general and quite normal conduct for local authorities up and down the country. We represent all members of our community and do so evenly and even-handedly. So I thank you for your question, and I hope that those answers do answer it slightly for you, but they are quite complex and quite tricky questions there, but thank you. And thank you both for coming in and giving your time tonight to ask those questions. We do appreciate all public participation. Thank you. There's no other members of the public in the room that want to ask questions, are there? And nobody else on Zoom, Town Clerk?
There's nobody else on Zoom.
Okay, thank you. In that case, we can move on to item number 2.
Sorry, somebody has just arrived, but I don't know that they want to ask for the book, but somebody has just arrived in the Zoom room.
The person that's just arrived in the Zoom room, do they wish to ask a question? Okay. We shall move on to item number 2, which is to commence no later than 7:30, which is apologies for absence. Do we have any, Town Clerk?
Apologies from Councillor Scott, who is unwell.
Okay. You want me to move to accept that? Too?
Please, yes.
I will propose that we accept that. Can I have a second for that? Second. And show of hands. Stop that. Thank you.
That's carried. Thank you, Chair.
Item number 3 is to confirm the minutes of the Town Council meeting held on the 4th of October. These are for accuracy. I'd like to propose them. Could I have a second, please? I have a second. Thank you. Any comments or questions about those minutes? Can I have a hand? A show of hands to adopt those minutes. Thank you. Second of October. Thank you. Item number 4 is to receive any declarations of personal or pecuniary interest, any new declarations, obviously relating to the business on tonight's agenda. No? So item number 5 is Town Mayor's announcements. I'm going to do this in 2 parts. The first part is a really nice bit, which is to award the youth sports grants. Obviously, you've all had your money electronically, but we do have the big check for the vote opportunity. I would like to go through each of you one by one. If you could just invite you just to stand up, say who you are, and say a few words about your grant and what it means to you and what you're doing with it. So first, we're going to start with Ashworth Junior Football Club, Rodex.
First. What was the class? But good evening, and council. Thank you very much for this grant. It means a hell of a lot to us. To give you some idea, we've got over 300 young children ranging from the age of 6 right up to 18. And we've got roughly about 18 teams. Obviously, we play different leagues. We play at 5 different venues. We haven't got our own ground. But I would say 90% of the children that are in Ashworth Junior Football Club are in that fact come from university. So it is legal. or accepting money on behalf of the children. Believe me, it goes to these streets of children. We've been going for, or I've been going for about, well, longer than 10 years, obviously, but I've been doing the job at Asher School for 10 years, and believe me, it's very, I moan about it, but believe me, it's very, very enjoyable. Very, I have 2 grandchildren that have gone through the rigmarole from going from 5 to 18, and they thoroughly enjoy it. And I'm a great believer in sport added to children's education. I think it's so important. But thank you again. This money goes to various items, but we did apply for it for new goals, which we've got. We paid out money for a ground over at Calvin, would you believe? You know, we're even venturing out to different counties, but they've gone up and it's superb. So thank you again. I much appreciate it.
Pleasure. Thank you, Ray. East Grinstead Sports Club, Richard Leman, please.
Hello, good morning everybody. I'm a trustee of East Grinstead Sports Club, and just want to say thank you as well for the contribution. It's not very often you put an application in and you get a little bit more than you're expecting, but we've got a significant project. Just to remind those that may not be aware, we're trying to build 4 covered paddle tennis courts on the top tier of the netball courts, for those of you that know the site at the sports club. It's a community club, it's not a private members club or anything like that. It's a community, and this particular, we want to make the courts available for the schools. We know the sports representation from the schools very well, and give free court usage to the schools during daytime, so that the schools can come up and have a go with paddle. And just it's not too onerous a sport exercise wise. It's probably not like squash, which is hard work. Tennis is very hard work, says me looking at John. So it's not so much it's not too onerous on the exercise front. So hopefully we'll get a lot of people that will want to give it a go, which is what we're trying to do. And these funds will be spent on coaching and court hire time for those children as we get them built, and we're hoping to get them built in May time. Hopefully, we can raise the money and get planning permission, which is in. I don't know if that's come through here yet, but it's just gone in just before Christmas. Thank you very much. The funds are much appreciated.
East Grinstead Cricket Club, Christian Hunt.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for the invite. Thank you very much for Grant. We really appreciate it. I can tell you that it will be completely delivered towards the All-Star ECB programme. I'm not sure if many of you are aware of it. Specifically for children who are 5 to 8 years old. In order to cover the sad eventuality of the fact that perhaps that sport isn't delivered at their primary schools. So it gives them the chance to get involved in the sport perhaps they didn't have to in the past. Many of you may not be aware that unfortunately when you purchase the opportunity to do the All-Star programme, right, all the money goes to the ECB, not 1 penny goes to actually the clubs that deliver it. And when you have between 50 and 80 children that we have who are 5 to 8, you need a number of coaches in order to deliver it. So the entire grant will go towards the coaching and the delivery of that programme. Thank you very much.
Amazing, thank you. We're Crawley Down Gatwick Football Club under 10s. Daniel Gordon.
Yeah, just a massive thank you for our grant. We applied for it primarily for this time of year every season since I've taken over, well, started as manager of under 5. Every year this time of year we miss out on masses of football due to the weather. I'm a member of the East Grinstead Sports Club myself, so we thought we'd apply for a grant that would help us be able to pay to train and play games at the sports club. A little bit of extra equipment is obviously very handy as well. Half our team is actually from East Grinstead, although we're Crawley Down. So yeah, we wanted to keep everything local, and it keeps the boys playing as much as we can throughout the season. Thank you.
Brilliant, thank you very much. We've got East Grinstead Target Shooting Club, Mike Kettle.
Everybody else, thank you very much as well. It's very appreciated. And from those laws, a new air pistol for our junior section. Which is a lot cheap. had half a dozen juniors now, and since COVID finished and we came out of lockdown, we've been getting lots of inquiries from the younger section of the juniors, again, sort of 10 upwards. And normally we only deal with 14 upwards. So by going into the air side of things, we can start at 10 and catch a few more. So that's going to help us do that. But this will, so junior one, so smaller pan grip, and things like that, whole flight, whole, these are going to do the job. As head coach, I find it amazing when I see juniors come in that have never shot before, and they think it's dead easy, and then start showing them the technicalities of it. And the first evening, they get about 3 or 4 shots away. Really good, considering they've never shot before. Then it's concentration drifts that starts to spread away the trot. So the time they've been down with us 3 or 4 weeks on the trot, you can see the concentration gets better and better and better. And to me, that can only be good when they go forward into the sort of working community and develop the skills. I find shooting a very good sport. I love it. It's something I've done all my life, and I'm more than happy to teach anybody else how to do it. Thank you very much once again for that.
Finally, we've got East Grinstead Town Football Club, Brian.
Very good evening, all, and my name's Brian Porkadale. I'm the Vice Chairman and Shop Secretary of East Grinstead Town. Again, as everyone else, thank you very much for the grant. Everyone at the Football Club of East Grinstead Town completely volunteers. No one gets paid for what we do. There's an awful lot of work goes into putting football on for youths in the town by not that many people. So any grants, any money that is raised takes a lot of raising. We've been approached by a couple of parents to start 2 new youth teams next season, so it complement what we've already got. So next season we're looking to start another 12-year-old and 17 under 17. So cost involved in starting a team from scratch is about £2.5 grand a team just before you kick the ball. So it does take a lot of getting from various places. So a grant like this really make a big difference to clubs like us. So that's what it's going towards. It's going towards training for coaches, things they have to go through, the coaching qualifications and kit wise and like that. So that's where the money's going to be used. So again, thank you very much for that.
Thank you. That one, yeah. So what we're going to do, gentlemen, we're going to go down to corner by the door. If you want to come on in, you've got the official photographer, the mayor is going to come down and take the You're revealing it. Oh, yes.
You're very welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting, or you can go. And there will be refreshment afterwards. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Safe journey home in this snow. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to go into is just to discuss some of the events and things and highlights of the last few months as mayor. It has been a very, very busy few months. Everyone of past mayors warned me that it would be busy. I didn't quite appreciate quite how busy it would be, but equally how absolutely rewarding it would be. It has been some of the best months of my life. Seeing some of the charities and organisations within our town has been truly inspiring, humbling, and eye-opening. I'm going to go through a few of the items on here, but firstly we'll start with a bit more positive one. I'd like to thank everyone that came along and supported some of my charity events, from the barn dance, you all look fabulous, through to my carol concert and other events. Thank you all the councillors that have supported, and my deputy who has been by my side for all of it. Thank you. Attending events as mayor isn't always some of the big things. It can be some of the smaller, tiny little organisations that only have a handful of members, and going along and supporting them, like the chess club. We gave them a small grant, and it's amazing to see the chess club in East Grinstead, the community and the love that they have for the game and being together, and an activity for sometimes slightly older demographic in the town was great. They were a great group of people. I went to a premiere of a film made by a local filmmaker called Broken Eyes, and it managed to get it in the cinema in East Grinstead. He's grown up in the town. I've known him actually a long time in the town, and it was great to see this guy. It's won national awards, this film. East Grinstead talent out there. It's great to go and see. One of the ones that was really incredible was the night that my wife and I spent out with the street pastors. It rained in a biblical manner. It was entertaining. There was a lot going on in town that night as well. It was a payday weekend. There was a boxing match at Chequermead. There was a boxing match streamed live on telly, and there was a lot of activity. And to see the love and fearlessness that the street pastors went out with to protect people, and handing out flip-flops when girls had lost their shoes, and bottles of water to help people that maybe had had a little bit too much enjoyment, was great. But the thing that really struck home was, especially with young girls, they saw the street pastors were out, and you could see their body language change. They knew that somebody was there watching out, making sure they're okay when they left the pub or the club, and seeing that was amazing. And the work they do all through the year in all weathers should be applauded. One of the fun ones was going to talk to the beavers, and I love talking to the kids, going to talk to the beavers and the schools, and the absolutely brilliant questions that they ask me, absolutely bonkers questions. I love that. It just makes me smile, and the enjoyment in their faces is lovely. Another great one was a very busy weekend in the middle of November, was the Lions PSA testing that was held here. And thank you to Councillor Whitaker for his hard work on that day as well. But watching the men come through to be tested rather sheepishly in large numbers that were sold out was incredible. And the percentage of people that something would have been flagged and that they go and get checked and it saves a life. There were people there volunteering who their prostate cancer had been caught by this testing in the past. And as men, we are, let's be honest, a bit rubbish at doing this sort of thing. And the work the Lions are doing to help the people in our community there is huge, and that was great to see. So well done to them. Then we had the Remembrance Sunday, which I think everyone who walked in that parade can acknowledge that East Grinstead comes out and supports that in a way that is so inspiring. It is lovely to do. It's strange to say it's lovely to do on a sad event, but I'm so proud of East Grinstead and so proud of all of you guys turning out for that. Thank you. Then we had the big reveal. Wasn't that amazing? I mean, the amount of people, it was standing room only from the Robert Dyer's Crossroads right up to the top of the town. I was one of the founding people that started out on the first 10 shops that ever did it when I had my shop in the high street. And to see it grow from an idea where we thought we would just paper up the windows, everyone would think we were closing down, and then suddenly go, ta-da, here's our Christmas windows, to the event it has become with the tree lights going on and the Christmas lights going on. And to see everyone volunteering and helping and working there was just brilliant. I mean, to turn the lights on to that sea of people in my very tasteful suit was just lovely. The suit, by the way, has grown its own personality, and people started requesting the suit along with the mayor to events. one that was slightly out of town, but very important to our town, was the St. Catherine's Hospice opening, to go to their new facility. If you get a chance in any capacity to go up there, hopefully in a capacity of councillors, not in the capacity that it's required, it's amazing what they have built, and the future proofing that they have there now to provide more end-of-life care for local residents it's incredible. The extra care that it will be able to provide, and the better working conditions for staff, and the more types of people it can take now is great. And it's the generosity of so many people donating and supporting that has meant this has happened. And they're now, you know, they're moving patients in, patients are in there. Go over and have a look if you can, because it's brilliant. A fun one was the Safford concert at Chequermead. That was lovely. That was a really nice one that got everyone feeling very Christmassy. That was great to see them in Chequermead. It makes me again so proud of how great Chequermead is, along with the Panto, which was just incredible. Oh, come on, someone.
Oh, no, it wasn't.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, Lee.
Oh, you're very welcome down there.
So we can now put that behind us. So that was great. A lovely one was the Sackville College carols. If you ever get a chance to go and do that, buy yourself a ticket next year, go along to it. To sing in the little chapel there is lovely. And then halfway through they stopped and did a reading all about Good King Wenceslas that was obviously written there. And then to go and see where that carol was actually written was lovely. That facility and what they do there, they need people to go along and buy those tickets and support them, because it requires all the financial help it can get, and it is so beautiful in the centre of our town. Another one which I know is very close to Councillor Peacock's heart here, which is the Being Neighbourly Christmas lunch. What a fantastic organisation that is in our town to help people. I always struggle saying this, with social isolation. That's a very tricky thing to say. But meeting, and I went around and chatted to everyone that was there, and their stories of genuine loneliness in the elderly in our community. They just, without that, they would be really stuck of who to talk to and their friends, and going out, having a Christmas dinner, so kindly supported by Dunning's Mill, paid for by the people having the charity quizzes there, that they take the money and pay for this meal, was great. Watching these elderly couples and people on their own getting slowly more drunk and enjoying their Christmas festivities was lovely to see. Then we got into some sort of more serious ones with the food bank bag pack in the town, which is a military operation. I'm sure many of you have been to the food bank at the Jubilee. If you haven't, go and have a look. Those guys run that so well. It's such a shame that in our town we still require that food bank to be as big and as professional as it is. And they need as much help as we can give them. But that bag pack, if you get a chance to next year, they're always looking for volunteers to go along and help. And that was a really good thing to do for Christmas. Slightly eclipsed by the 23rd of December, the Greenaway Foundation Christmas, not bag pack, but the putting out of food and delivering of food. It started with 5 families, and there was over 900 families delivered to this year. Full Christmas meal, presents up to the value of £25, personally selected for children. Councillor DeBell and his wife were there, and you were there as well, leader, and to see the effort that goes in and the need was exceptional. The bit that affected me and my wife the most was the bit slightly outside, which was a huge line of these that were for people suffering from domestic violence or hiding from it. And Claire and I were given the great privilege to go and deliver some of these. We went right up to Reigate and Red Hill and out and about delivering some of these to people. And what they did was to give Christmas to people that had no hope of a Christmas, and to those children. And that was amazing. I think the more that us as councillors can support these sort of initiatives and help, better. And although it was a terrible, sad feeling, and to see it was devastating, the need for it, it made me really feel so grateful for everything I have in life and how much we have and how many of us have the simple things that are missing from so many people. And it was incredible. I've had a couple of other ones this year already, kicked out the blocks early with Imberhorn School's A-level presentations, which was amazing. Lots of very hungover kids dragged in to collect their A-level certificates before they go back to university. We're sitting there with their parents looking like Kevin the teenager. That was great. But then yesterday I attended the first veterans breakfast at the Sussex pub, and it was great. The work that Paul Grief and his committee have put together there to bring that to the fore is amazing. Veterans that can't get to Crawley, where the nearest one was, that live in East Grinstead, and they struggle to get over there for a meal, now have somewhere they can drop in, they can seek help, they can meet people, they can discuss. And already from conversations yesterday, we're helping a few people that have come out of the woodwork. So I want to say a huge thank you to Paul and his team for putting that together. It was great. So as I say, it's been busy. That is just a little highlight of some of the events, but all of them are amazing. And as councillors, we are given the privileged position to help these people to look behind the curtains of our community. And we have an amazing community. The volunteers, the people that are helping without any thanks, anything is amazing. So thank you to all of you for your support. And I know I've whittled on a little bit on this, but it was a long one, and there were a lot on there that I wanted to give thanks and highlight. So thank you. Looking forward to it next year, mate. Item number 6 is to receive such communications the leader the council may decide to lay before the council. So Helen, over to you.
Thank you, Tom. So mine is short and sweet, so you'll all be pleased to know. So really just a couple of things come to fruition that we want to share and put out there, that St Barnabas is just about ready to start renting out at the end of January. They've worked incredibly hard. Sorry, coming on to that. It has now been renamed. That was my next line, town clock. And it has now been renamed as Sunnyside Barn. So we'll be calling it by its correct name moving forward, and hopefully we'll start to get some renters in there, and then we'll have an official opening at some point where we'll all go there, and obviously the mayor will be able to cut some shorter ceremonial ribbon. So that's fantastic. So that's going to be up a little bit out of time scale, but it's going to be up by the new time scale that we did send, so that's fabulous. I really want to thank all of the council officers. They've worked incredibly hard over the last year. I really want that noted, how much they work to support us, and all the things they do for the community themselves as part of their role, but also supporting us in doing our role. So I really want to thank them. And they do a lot of, especially this time, well, the end of the year, the Christmas period, they have an awful lot of jobs to do as well as their job. But it did finish off extremely well with, we had the Christmas lights turn on with so many of the officers out there, as well as us supporting it. The new lights looked amazing, so it was great to see those up, which is fantastic, especially on this building. They looked phenomenal. And also we finished it off with glitter and mince pies for those that attended that. It was a really super morning, and all the officers were out there to be able to thank all the people that do support within the council. My final thanks goes on to all of you councillors. I'd like to thank you for all your work on your committees. I would particularly like to mention this time round though, the new committee, the environmental and sustainable travel. So I'd really like to thank all the members on that. Thank you to the chair of that, Steve, for bringing that to fruition. It's a lot of hard work. We've had lots of meetings. We're now going to every other month. Lots of lovely projects that we can get our teeth into moving forward. So that committee this year is hopefully we'll have some projects that we can start and finish, some small achievements to get us on the map of doing something new. So thank you to all of you as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Leader. Item number 6. Are there any questions for this?
Yeah.
Councillor Peake.
Not a question as such, but I would like to take this opportunity to thank the leader and the officers for progressing St Barnabas, now Sunnyhill Barn. I'd also like to thank Dick Sweatman, who was previous councillor and leader, who helped kick that project off. And I think it's congratulations to everyone that that's been concluded so quickly. And we do have a centre, a low-cost provision centre for community events outside of the centre. So thank you to all of you for putting that forward. It's not a question, but I just wanted to put on there.
Thank you, Councillor Beacon. Any other questions? item number 7 then is to dispose of any business outstanding from the last meeting. There is none. Item number 8 is Principal Council update from West Sussex County Councillor Ian Gibson. Unfortunately, Councillor Gibson has been unwell and his voice is slightly weakened at the moment, so he submitted a written report to be read by the town clerk. I do believe that maybe your voice is strong enough to answer any questions potentially.
I can probably manage questions.
Brilliant.
So
You're
you can have the speech or you can have questions.
you are a trooper, Councillor. So, town clerk, would you like to read the statement?
Clear my throat before I start. The introduction of a booking system at the recycling centre in February has been confirmed. I endeavoured to call in the decision for review on the basis that the Cabinet member had not presented any evidence of need, as had been the case for its introduction at the Crawley Centre. The call-in was supported by Burgess Hill, Lib Dem and 2 Chichester-based independents. I did not receive any support from any of the local councillors. The request was dismissed by the County Monitoring Officer. The key reason was that the decision had been discussed and endorsed by a scrutiny committee. The committee discussion was actually inconclusive, but the monitoring officer's decision is finally. I used the opportunity of written questions for the December Council to set out the information I believe is required to support the decision to introduce a booking scheme and ask whether the Council had this. The question and the answers can be found on the West Sussex County Council meetings webpage. On the positive side, it turns out that even without a booking system, East Grinstead has the highest recycling rate of all the centres at 84% and only drops to second when green waste is excluded. It's difficult to see how the booking scheme is going to improve these figures, given that East Grinstead is already ahead of centres operating the booking scheme. The major pressures on the current year budget are the children's, young people and learning and skills portfolio. These were predicted to be around £20 million overspent on a £200 million annual budget at the end of Q2. This overspend is in addition to the continuing growth in the Education Direct Support Grant, which has held off budget. Q3 figures should be available shortly. Notably, the handover of the Woodland Mead Special Needs School has been delayed twice. The Council will be setting the increase in council tax at the maximum allowed, 3% plus 2% for adult social care for the 24-25 financial year. The main pressures for setting a balanced budget are the increases in number of special educational needs students and their home to school transport costs. There is also significant cost increases in capital projects. The new 4-form entry secondary school at Burgess Hill Brookley is being retendered after no affordable bids were received in response to the first tender. The specification essentially is a passive house school and has not been changed. Although the Imberhorn application is being progressed and includes significant new sports facilities for Imberhorn School, there is no progress on the proposed relocation of the lower school from Windmill Lane to Imberhorn Lane. The inflationary increases in building costs will push up costs of both the new building and the maintenance work which is needed at Windmill Lane. Against this background, there is expected to be a significant pressure on Year 7 secondary school places this autumn, and a bulge class is being planned at Imberhorn Lane with the intention of a permanent change to an 11-form entry. The roadworks at the Park Road, Maypole Road junction are the implementation of a community highway scheme to make the crossing from Crescent Road safer. Frankly, the layout revisions being implemented are not what the requesters wanted. The changes will force residents heading to Halstead Park and other schools to cross Park Road and then Maypole Road, rather than just crossing Park Road to the western side of Maypole Drive. There is a lesson here about being careful what you wish for. The community highway scheme now has no fixed dates and the applications are evaluated immediately. Implementation of anything other than the most minor works like painting the highway will require the support of Section 106 funds. I cannot raise requests myself, I can only approve requests raised by others. There is one outstanding CHS request in Imberhorn, which is for pedestrian refuge to make crossing at the A22 London Road safer by Stream Park Fell Water Court. This scheme is unlikely to be considered until the outcome of the 22-264 corridor study is known at the end of the year. If I could just intercept at that point, that CHS has now been submitted. So if you're not aware of that, Councillor Gibson, that has gone in, and I will be meeting with them shortly. No, I appreciate that, but it has been submitted and it's been submitted by this town council. Regarding the A22, A264 corridor study, this was expected to conclude the review of previous studies by the end of the year, but no reports have been issued or announced and there have been no further meetings of the steering group. I'm continuing to monitor the planned resurfacing of Heathcote Drive and the Duke's Head roundabout next financial year. I do not have dates at the moment. Currently, flooding is a greater concern than potholes, but I would encourage everyone to report potholes on the West Sussex County Council pothole webpage as soon as they emerge. The county target for repairs is 28 days. Residents will be able to claim for damage if the pothole is not fixed by then. The county is paying out on a large number of claims from last winter. The process is slow. I think most residents know to take photos and keep receipts. With more local bus services being cut, particularly links to West Hoathly, I thought it was worth mentioning the county reintroduced a book a bus service around Chichester last autumn. The new buses have no fixed routes or times. Customers book on a day using an app called Pingu and have to be prepared to wait. This could be something the council should be pressing the county to introduce here, given the need to reduce car usage. The county is continuing to roll out EV charging points in partnership with Mid Sussex District Council and Connected Curb. The focus has moved from car parks to residential streets. My experience is that residents don't want them because of the loss of parking spaces. Some councils are testing systems like Charge Gully, which enable houses without parking to charge their vehicles on the road in the front of the house, with the charging cable set in a secure channel cut in the pavement. This seems like a good solution, although you can't always park in front of your own home. The county's upgrade of its business management systems covering finance, procurement, HR and payroll to Oracle Fusion has run into some problems associated with data cleansing and the transfer of records. The programme is currently being reassessed. This is an activity which is expected to deliver major savings in administration costs for the council. The county is already looking ahead to May 25 elections and is holding a number of beer council events. The nearest to East Grinstead is in Crawley on the 20th of February at 6:30 p.m. That's the report.
Your comprehensive report. Thank you, Town Clerk, for reading it. Has anyone got any questions for Councillor Gibson on that?
Thank you, Jeff. Yes, I'd just like to thank Councillor Gibson for his work on that recycling. Although it was not what the answers that we all wanted, but I would also like to say to committee that you can actually now cycle to the recycling centre with your refuse if you wanted to, and there will be your rubbish will be taken away, and you can cycle back home afterwards, which you weren't able to do beforehand. Thank you.
Thank you. Got an image of you cycling with shopping bags on.
Yeah, I too would like to thank Councillor Gibson for his sterling work in number 1 and 6 Heathcote Drive. Getting the jet catcher, which is a fantastic piece of kit that Council Council's got 3 of them. We saw it in action in the summer, fantastic. And it's done a brilliant temporary job. I'm looking forward very much in the next financial year to the full research. Thank you for your efforts so much.
If I can just say, Chairman, that I actually got an email this afternoon. I have questions just about what was happening with both Heathcote Drive and the Duke's Head roundabout, which is, sort of also an area of much discontent amongst residents. They are both out for tender at the moment in order to so that the financials will be there and the plans are there for the new financial year. So I will, as soon as I have dates, I will start to tell everyone, because it will be major disruption.
Okay, thank you. Yes, that's the other side of the problem, isn't it? You fix one problem, but we've made a small temporary one. Yeah. Any other questions at all? In that case, Deputy Town Mayor would like to do a full thank you.
Yes, thank you, Chair. I'd like to thank Councillor Gibson for his very comprehensive report and Town Clerk for reading it so well. A lot of work goes unnoticed, and we all know that you put a shift in for us for county, and we'd like to thank you for that. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, item number 9 is to receive and consider the minutes of the committees. We're going to start with Councillor Odey for planning and for E and ST as well. You can do
Okay.
all in one go. Save you standing up and down, as you're a jack in the box tonight. So, Councillor Odie, thank you.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, before I begin, I would very much like to thank both committees for their work and their efforts of putting planning and the environment and sustainable travel. It's been, from a planning perspective, it's been a very eventful 2023, and 2024 looks like it's not going to change. So I look forward to that, and with excitement and enthusiasm and optimism. I would like to recommend these minutes, that we receive these minutes on block, if that's okay, committee. First item, planning meeting 16th of October, page numbers 91 to 95, minute number 167 to 173. Planning meeting on the 6th of November 2023, page numbers 99 to 103, minute number 182 to 190. Planning meeting 27th of November 2023, page numbers 108 to 116, minute numbers 202 to 208. And planning meeting on the 18th of December 2023, page numbers 134 to 138, and minute number 246 to 253. Would you second?
Could I have a second from the committee? Thank you, Councillor Pond. Any questions about those minutes at all? In that case, now a show of hands to adopt those minutes.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, again, thank you to the committee for the environmental and sustainable travel. Very exciting committee, and I know that 2024 is going to bring some really cool things coming through from this council, so I'm very excited about that. I'd like to again put all of these minutes through on block if that's possible. The meeting on the 19th of October, page numbers 96 to 98, minute number 174 to 181. The meeting on the 23rd of November, page numbers 104 to 107, minute number 191 to 201. And the meeting on the 21st of December, 139, page numbers 139 to 143, minutes numbers 254 to 264.
Thank you. Can I have a second for those, please? Thank you, Councillor Belzic. Any questions on those minutes at all? Nice to come with a show of hands.
That's carried.
Thank you, Councillor Odie, for chairing a lot of meetings. Well done. Next, can I have Councillor Whitaker for Public Services?
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I only have one meeting, but it was a full 2-hour meeting. Thursday, the 30th. So it was, as usual, a jam-packed meeting. First of all, I'd like to thank my Vice Chair, Councillor Reid, for fantastic support, and particularly to the Town Clerk for producing in Public Services extensive reports and research and coordination to prepare those papers across effort there. So we touched on just some of the subjects that are in the minutes. Pharmacies, the Lloyd's pharmacy sales, so that much of those gone through in the town and the restructuring successfully. There's a new dispensing machine down at Lloyd, so the pharmacy in Stourbridge. If you haven't seen it, go and have a look. It's very whiz bang. Again, touched Councillor Gibson and also Councillor Bell, Councillor Russell for the road surfacing progress continued in the second half of this year, which has been superb. So hopefully that progress continues. We also touched on the open spaces contract, now awarded by the District Council to Glendale, and the impact that could maybe will have on this Town Council and its outside services team. So we're monitoring the progress closely of that contractor that has just started in January last week. The rail ticket offices, this Town Council put in a substantial consultation, so we were delighted that the government has backtracked on that. Network Rail, and they are staying open for the moment. We noted the CCTV increased costs via the District Council of that, and that's had to be absorbed in our budget going forward for the next financial year. Police, as always, is a major discussion point. We welcome Doug Johnson, who's the Regional Sergeant out of the Crawley station. He was very good. Chris Lovelock is our Senior PCSO in the town, and we know puts himself about a lot, and we see them a lot, and they are achieving things. We put it to the police that various town intelligence that all councillors get from time to time, and the various points have been raised. Councillor Bennell, Councillor Hughes, and others. We put that to the police. So if we have specific evidence base, we can forward those via the town clerk to the police, and they will act on it. We were delighted to have the new Chief Executive Officer of Queen Victoria Hospital, James Lowell, in for timely. I think he started in September. Very, very impressive. The whole committee were very impressed with him. Did a very good Q&A. Got lots of good ideas, and the feedback we've got, I think the staff are very appreciative of his personality and charisma, and hopefully ideas going forward. Combined with that meeting, very crucially, we're still trying to hold modalities to the fire in terms of critique. So we had, the town clerk was persevered for 6 months to get NHS Integrated Care Board into this chamber. So we have Penny Ford, who's the regional MD for West Sussex NHS. So she came, attended on Zoom. But we also had Dr. Patel, who's the senior partner at Mokefield Surgery. Because what we found through communications from the town clerk and the chair and vice chair and the deputy town clerk was that Mokefield are significantly impacted over the past year with the position with modality and the special measures that effectively they are in, and patients going from modality to Mokefield. So we wanted to fly the flag for Mokefield with the ICB. So that was successfully going. We even had a very good cross debate. We had an East Grinstead Food Bank, Tamara, you touched on that, and you made the initial introduction with them when you visited, I think, in September. So we had them, and they did a very good presentation. Effectively, they've restructured since COVID. Quite a lot of new people, certainly a lot of new systems. They've got a new app in, lots of good ideas. They have external consultants coming in to do citizens advice and financial advice, and their whole service is spread from just providing bare essentials and food to way more than that now. So I'll echo what the town manager said. Please support them. Still based in Jubilee. So we're continuing to support them going forward. They want to introduce a local bank source in Worthing, just to help out some of their clients as well. Our officer Alan Fletcher obviously came in to talk about Sunnyside Barn now renamed and the work there, so that's great. And finally, you already mentioned the recycling centre. We discussed that, but obviously that decision has been taken. So again, we'll continue to monitor that. So thanks to the whole committee for those concerns. I'd like to propose the minutes from the 30th of November for adoption, pages 117 to 123 inclusive, minute numbers 209 to 221. Thank you.
One second for that. Any questions? In that case, can I have a show of hands too? Thank you. Thank you for that thorough report there. Councillor Belsey, please, from Lincoln to us.
Thank you, Chairman. And thank you to everyone that's participated in the Citizen Tourism Committee. I won't go through the whole agenda, but it was packed, and we've got a wide range of exciting tourism projects to look forward to this coming year. But I'd like to propose the minutes for the meeting that we held on the 7th of December, page numbers 124 to 28, and minutes number 220 to 225.
A second for that, please. Thank you, Councillor Hughes. Any comments on that at all? In that case, can I have a show of hands to adopt those minutes? Thank you. And last but not least, Town Leader, could you for Finance and General Purpose?
Thank you, Town Mayor. I'd like to, I'm not going to make a big speech, you'd be pleased to know I feel I've done my thank yous. So as Chair of the Finance and General Purposes Committee, I would like to propose the minutes of the meeting held on the 14th of December 2023, pages number, I need my glasses, on 129 to 133, minute numbers 226 to 245. Please may I have, I'd like to propose those.
Can I have a second for those, please? Thank you, Councillor Belsey. Any questions at all? No show of hands to adopt those minutes. Thank you, everyone. And number 10 is to authorise the sealing of the following documents: the grant of exclusive right of burial numbers 2307, 2308, 2309, 2310, 2311, 2312, and 2313. Could I have a second for those, please?
I will second.
Thank you. Can I have a show of hands to fix the seal? Thank you.
That's carried. Thank you, Chair.
Item number 11 is a review of the standing orders, financial regulations and code of conduct. This is going to be done in two halves. The first half is to advise the council officers have reviewed the current standing orders, financial regulations and code of conduct, have one additional small correction to make on the financial regulation section 5 banking regulations, which I would like to take first. This came to light after the agenda was issued, but as a substantive item is on the agenda and can be considered. I'd like to propose the rewording of paragraph 5.6 of the financial regulations, page 25, which concerns who has authority to use the town council credit cards. The proposal is to change town promotion manager to estates and civic pride manager. May I have a second for that, please? I'll second. Thank you.
Chairman, just before you go further, if you'd just like me to explain that one, because obviously it didn't go out on the agenda, so just have a little bit more meat onto that one. It was simply as we were going through them that the RFO, the responsible finance officer, discovered that we had the old name of the town promotion officer as one of our users of a credit card, and clearly we no longer have that post. So the person who now holds a credit card is actually the civic pride, the estates and civic pride manager. This is simply changing one post name to the other post name. Nothing else is being done on there. That's all it is.
Thank you for that clarification. Are there any other comments on that at all? In that case, can I have a show of hands to amend that? Thank you. The two other motions regarding the standing orders review have been submitted by Councillor Pond for consideration. So before I go to Councillor Pond, are there any other matters regarding standing orders that anyone wishes to raise? If not, I then defer to Councillor Pond to make his motions, please.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you for the councillors. So on review of the standing orders, in discussion with the town clerk, I would like to propose the following amendments. So there's two motions here. We'll take them each in turn. So the first one is in relation to standing order 13A, and this is to insert the word being LGA model councillor code of conduct 2020 brackets approved by LGA 3rd of the 12th 2020 as amended, following by the words by the council. Can I have a second for that, please?
Thank you. Any comments on that at all? In that case, can I have a show of hands to adopt that wording?
Take against, please.
Against? Abstaining?
That's good.
To move to motion 2.
Thank you, Chair. And so this is the following addition to the standing order. So there's not currently something in place. So this is addition. This is adding 13H in respect of Code of Conduct 10.2. All gifts and hospitalities accepted or refused of any value should be added to the hospitality book with an estimated value brackets if over £25, comma, and where the amount has exceeded £50 in value, that entry should also be made in the declaration of interests within 28 days, which will then be notified to the monitoring officer by the proper officer of the council.
Can I have a second for that one? Thank you. Can I have any questions on that? Councillor.
Yes. I'm just wondering, Councillor Pond, why when we have documents produced by local association or the National Association of Local Councils, why we need to add something that is there, except that it is, because in our code of conduct, which is the one that was being referred to by Speaker in the Public Questions, part 10.2 there deals with the need to register any gift with an estimated value of at least £50 and to register if an offer of a significant gift has been refused. So the two things are there already. So I'm just a little concerned that we start writing words for ourselves and then have to go to the LGA for advice if there's any query on it, when they haven't written it, they're not party to raise or anything else, that the actual legal interpretation could be quite expensive, difficult, and all the rest of it. Whereas if it's words that they've got, then they will have a standard sort of approach of what to prepare. And if the aim is to reduce the threshold to £25 from 50, that would be done simply by changing the amount in our code of conduct, which currently says £50. So there are two places where we're talking, if you're putting it in a different place, in an amount that conflicts with what exists in another part of the documents that we comply with. But also, I'm just a little concerned as the precise wording of it, as how it would apply. Let's say a simple example. I'm a trustee at Checkham City. So there are things which I would, because I was invited to go to Panto, because they wanted all the trustees to be at Panto. That would be something which would be a very good amount. But if this is phrased, the way that it's got the brackets around £25 implies that you have to apply everything into the register. Every time I attend the meeting there, I go, gee, have I actually got to come in every time and register? So that's why wording is important, and I think we should get the advice of the LGA if we're going to make such a change to their. I've got no qualms if the aim is to reduce the threshold from £50 to £25. I'm sure they would just nod their head and say, if that's what you want, that's what you want. It's coming up with words that could be interpreted different ways where our advisors are not quality to what we're putting forward. So I would suggest that if that's the aim, we pass this to the LGA for their advice and respond accordingly when they're like that.
Thank you. Councillor Pond, at the end of the, go around the room and then we can come back to you. Councillor Peacock, you raised your hand.
Yeah, thank you. I think my thoughts, immediate reactions are along the same lines as Councillor Barnett. The first thing I've observed is that these code of conducts come from now. They're part of a national framework, and every single council within England and Wales, as far as we should assume, and I think we can assume that, will be using the standard wording, standard format and standard work. So we start tweaking the wording with what I would say without, extended analysis, discussions on some of the implications are. Councillor Barnett comments on Checkermead. Ironically, Checkermead used to be owned by the town council directly up to 2016, and every single councillor was in the management committee of that council of Checkermead. The property is owned by the town council. The CEO was set up to streamline the management of Checkermead Theatre and make it more efficient organisation. A number of councillors, I think it was 5 at the time, were appointed by councillors of the town council at this council meeting or similar council meeting to represent them, the council. That's one example. There are another examples I can think of. If we go to an opening of a new building site or a new construction centre where we might have 1 or 2 glasses of champagne, does that need reflecting? We're seeing a Safa concert today. That has a tangible value. You've been invited as the town mayor of many of us. That is an honour to be there. Does that need reflecting? So what I would suggest, we need greater time to consider the full implications, because we're deviating away from standard national wording and policy. And secondly, if this is a district where our monitoring officer resides, there is a committee that would have taken time, maybe a couple of months, working with officers and councillors across the political spectrum to discuss this and go through the ramifications. And obviously this has been on the agenda for a couple of weeks, but it's been across Christmas, and I don't know if
all councillors have the opportunity to discuss the unintended consequences. So I've got no issue if you wanted to change the 20 to £25, as Councillor Barnett has mentioned, but I think we need to reflect carefully what the unintended ramifications of this went through. So it's not necessarily against change. What are the unintended ramifications of a, as you say, precipitous change that has to be discussed within the wider group against a national framework of documents? And we wouldn't do this if we were part of an international national company. HQ would set what the standard work is, the rules are, and we're in a similar situation. We're a council within a larger framework of England and Wales. They're my reflections. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any other comments before Councillor Pond comes back on those? You haven't got.
Just get the comments, just comments and observations, right?
We want to hear Councillor Pond's questions back, and then you.
Based on the two issues that have been raised by Councillor Barnett and Councillor Peacock, the only advice that I can give is, obviously I have spoken with the monitoring officer of the District Council, and Councillor Pond and I have worked on the wording to ensure that that the motion did what he was seeking for it to do. We did have a conversation about the discretionary, that's the wrong word, can't think of the right word, the interpretation of codes of conduct, the interpretation of standing orders, and it does remain and will remain, even with a change, a grey area, and it is down to each and every councillor to determine whether they feel something is affected by the code of conduct. It is down to each and every councillor to make a personal decision as to whether or not, as to the value of something that's been accepted. But first and foremost, it comes back down to what have you accepted and why have you accepted it? Is there any untoward reason behind that? And obviously councillors, I believe, always have that high in their mind when they have anything approached to them, or they're asked to attend something, whether it be check a meet, whether it be any other event, opening of a new development or something like that. Planning, as you all know, is something that we are very, very careful about, and we're always very, very cautious. It's a difficult one. Yes, the standing orders do already have these protections in them, or alludes to them, just not quite in the prescribed manner that Councillor Pond is seeking to see a little further clarity. It's a really very much a shades of grey area. That's why we have the monitoring officer at the district. That's why there is the independent panel at the district, so that when there is concern, questions can be asked and hopefully the correct and the right advice followed. Integrity is the word. In my view, as the clerk, this council acts with integrity. If councillors feel that a little bit of tightening up to help with the clarification as to that integrity, or as to what being asked to do, I don't think it's a major concern. But it's not my decision to make. It is your decision to make. That's exactly what I've said to you several times, isn't it, Councillor Pond? So it's very difficult for me to make any particular comment. I don't see major ramifications based on what's being proposed. I can see that there may be some concern as to the nth degree, as raised by Councillor Peacock, and I guess it's one of those things that will come out in the fullness of time.
Councillor Pond, I think you deserve your time.
So thank you, councillors, for those comments. If I can take them in turn, if I could. So first of all, this is not really changing anything, and what do I mean by that? Our current practice, and I want to address the £50, £25. When I joined as new councillor, I'm a new councillor. I asked and looked and tried to figure out what it is. Having spoken with the town clerk, it was current procedure that we would capture in the hospitality book everything over £25 below £50. Unfortunately, that is not written anywhere. So what this motion, one of the three bits it's doing is actually writing that down. So currently that is also to protect ourselves as councillors, that there was a process that we all, I believe, followed. However, it's actually not written in our standing orders. So firstly, that £25 is, my understanding is, has been practiced for a number of years, but actually was nowhere in our standing orders. So that is not changing per se what we have been doing, but is writing it down so it's very clear, very transparent for everybody. Secondly, therefore, the other point it makes is £50. That is in agreement and in line with the code of conduct. So my motion again is not changing anything, it is purely reinforcing what the code of conduct says into our standing orders and being very clear and very transparent as to what we are to do as councillors. So this is as much to protect us as councillors, so we know exactly what to do, as it is the transparency and integrity of our electorate. So firstly, so just to reinforce, £25 is what we've been doing, it's just not been written down. The £50 was currently in the code of conduct, but to the point that Councillor Peacock mentioned, it is a framework. It's a framework we aligned to. It doesn't tell us how to do things in the nth degree. That is what the standing orders are about. They are about taking that framework, and we are an independent body that can make our own decisions within the context of this framework. And therefore, my wording is purely to take that framework, apply that into our standing orders so that we actually codify exactly what's happening. So I've covered the framework. And I say there's a lot of grey area, and I think the whole point of this motion is to actually take away that grey area by clearly stipulating that everything over £25 needs to go in the hospitality book, and that everything over £50 needs to go in the declaration of interest. It's very clear, very concise, and is in agreement with the code of conduct. So I'll finish that.
Thank you. Grey area. Yeah, I can't come back, unfortunately. The way if we're going to stick to, we're on standing orders. We're going to stick to the standing orders. So with that round up from Councillor Bond, that ends the debate section for this motion. So can I move to a vote? We have on the table to approve that, been seconded. So can I have a show of hands to adopt that point to the standing orders, please?
Can I just qualify? There was two elements in this last one.
You voted on the first one already. The first one's adopted. So we are voting to
be very clear. This is to insert a new standing order 13A, being the LGA model councillor code of conduct. Sorry, we've done that bit. Yeah. Apologies. It's the new one, 13H. In respect of code of conduct 10.2, all gifts and hospitality accepted or refused or of any value should be added to the hospitality book with an estimated value of over £25. And where the amount has exceeded £50 in value, that entry should be also made in the declaration of interests within 28 days, which will then be notified to the monitoring officer by the proper officer of the council.
Okay, are we all clear what you're voting on now?
Just to clarify, I'm straight until I've heard the 13H. Accepted or refused all gifts and hospitality accepted or refused of any value. I thought it meant any value. Are you actually saying this? I thought it was any value had to be added, and then you only estimated value that was over £25.
Yes, that's right.
It is, but I thought some people were saying it only has to be entered if it's over £25.
Sorry, that's my understanding. It was the brackets if over £25 was the caveat. So that's what the intention of my motion was. The brackets if over £25 was. So we're not to write every pound of pence in coffee. This is around, again, consistent with what we have been doing as a council. I understand we've been doing as a council for many years. Is everything over £25 goes in the hospitality book.
No, everything goes in the hospitality book, and it's only if it's over £25 you have to give an estimated value.
I'm not sure that was my intention. I would suggest that, can I do a motion to amend?
You can't amend your own motion, but somebody else can.
Right, so the way we need to do this, just to because this is where the standing orders and these sort of debates can get unwieldy. Okay, so your motion currently stands. Okay, that would need to go to a vote. What would need to happen is that would need to fail and then be amended.
No, I don't think, although that's where we actually are in the procedure.
Okay.
If you now amend this and take it down, the substantive of it can't then go forward. So you can't do that. What I suggest we do before we go to the vote is we have an amendment.
Okay.
And we just need to agree on the wording of that amendment. So if I can be just absolutely clear, what you're asking therefore is that only items of value, estimated value of £25 should be entered into the hospitality book. That's what you're asking for.
If I can state it now, in respect of code of conduct 10.2, or gifts and hospitality accepted or refused over the value of £25 should be added to the hospitality book, full stop. Where the amount is exceeded £50 in value.
Right. So what you would like to do is move the if over £25 words, and you'd like them to be
After
refused.
yes, correct.
Yes, so that it would read, in respect of the Code of Conduct 10.2, all gifts and hospitality accepted or refused if over £25 should be added to the hospitality book. Right. So what you're asking for somebody to please move is an amendment to strike out the words of any value and to replace them with the words which are currently in brackets following the word value, if over £25, and to move that from one point to the other. Is that what you're asking?
Correct.
Yeah. That's what somebody, which I'm afraid can't be Councillor Ponders, he is the original move of the original motion, so he can't amend it. Somebody else will need to make that amendment, which will then be voted on, and then that becomes the substantive, and then we then vote on the substantive at that point. So does anybody wish to make that amendment? Thank you.
Can I have a second?
So that was the second.
On it or the bell they want to pick on. Okay, so we have that amendment in there now.
Well, can we? No, you need to vote on the amendment.
Can we vote on the amendment, then, please? This is just on the amendment.
That's right.
Excellent, thank you.
So that's been carried. So your substantive now reads, if I've got this right.
Everyone listen very carefully now, please.
I shall say this only once. Right. And please tell me this is right. In respect of Code of Conduct 10.2, all gifts and hospitality accepted or refused, if over £25, shall be added to the hospitality book with an estimated value, and where the amount has exceeded £50 in value, that entry should also be made into the declaration of interest within 28 days, which will then be notified to the monitoring officer by the proprietor of the council.
Thank you. 10 o'clock, just a small order. Business. Can anyone come back on that discussion? We discussed it now. That's been amended.
They shouldn't come back on the substantive, but if there's anything they wish to say about the amendment, I think it would be all right for you to accept it.
So if the amendment has altered your questions or points of views, or you have a question on it, then please say now.
It's just so I could understand, because this is fast moving, and no offence to Councillor Pond, but this is what I was meaning, that unintended consequences of a, I should say, a rather quick process. So what does this in reality mean, Town Clerk? Is it literally adding something to the book over £25? I just want to understand.
I believe that that's absolutely right. What you will now be, if I'm correct, and this is how I'm going to read this, so please tell me if this is not how you understand it. This is stating that therefore all gifts and hospitality accepted or refused if over £25 gets added into the hospitality book with a value, which means amounts of under £25 do not get added into the hospitality book, which is the current position. So therefore the change is that you will no longer be declaring nominal amounts.
So just to clarify for you, Councillor Peacock, and I know you want to say something.
Town Clerk just answered.
Is at the moment, this is how we operate. Anyway, all that this motion is doing is formalising it at this point. And I do think I was keeping quiet on the matter. Beforehand, it was a bit grey. and I didn't get it. That amendment has now just formalised what we currently do. I shouldn't really let you come back on it, just to be. So we are now just formalising something that currently exists. It is not. This is not a significant change as it was originally, actually.
The only difference you now have is that any amount which has been accepted or refused, that's one of the things.
Refused now has an amount, yes.
With over £25 must be included in the hospitality book, whereas before you were only required to make any declaration of anything refused over £50 on your declaration of interests.
I think the reality here is the numbers of gifts that are accepted or refused by any councillors are actually very, very small. In any councillor's position when they are mayor, it is treated slightly differently because you go to lots and lots of things. But as regular councillors, it is very, very small. I think I've declared a handful of things ever in the many years I've done. So please can we move to a vote to adopt this with the approved amendment? All in favour, please raise your hands.
I'll take against if you, because not
And
everyone's
against.
hands up. But that is a carried motion.
Thank you. I bet you all, when you signed up to be councillors, wanted to be discussing these sort of things, didn't you? Right. Okay. So, and number 12 is to approve the dates of the council meetings for 2024-2025. Please recommend, I will recommend that you approve the following dates in 24-25 for full council to meet: annual council Monday the 13th of May, special council 20th of June, council 1st of July, council 7th of October, council 6th of January, special council 27th of January, and council 7th of April. Please cast for a second on this.
I'll second that, Chair.
Any questions on that? Can I have a show of hands to adopt those dates? It's even more fun now. We go on to item number 13, financial risk register. The impact rating on the following items has been amended. Do you need me to read all of these out?
They're in the agenda, so no, you don't need to read them all out.
There are a
Chair.
lot, they are in the agenda. Please refer to them in the agenda, because to read them all out will be quite boring, but they are all in the agenda. Hopefully you've all read the agenda. Can I propose those? No. Second. Any questions on those at all?
No questions.
Can I have a statement from them?
No, I just wanted to thank Sam Clark and Dan and all the officers for the work they've done for that risk register. It's a really good, it's very reassuring to know that we're in safe hands. Thank you.
In that case, can I have a show of hands?
That's carried.
Thank you for allowing me not to read all that out. I am slightly dyslexic and reading all those letters and notes, but made my eyes hurt. Right, earmarked reserves. The agenda refers to a request to there's some earmarked reserves. It is clear that the reserves are no longer needed. They should be returned to general reserves, or in this case, reallocated as a veerment from one cost centre to another. Movement of reserves is a power reserved for full council. As the Sunnyside Barn project is needing funds, council are requested to allow them to be bid for this use. I propose that we veer from cost centre 400/4099 defib batteries £1,000, leaving £3,321 in reserve. Cost centre 999/4182 graffiti removal £2,500, leaving £1,819 in this reserve. This will create a £3,500 earmarked reserve, principally for new tables and chairs at Sunnyside Barn, in a new cost centre 300/4061. May I have a second for that?
I would like to second that.
Do we have anyone wishes to speak on this at all? All those in favour? Thank you, Council, for a long meeting, a full meeting, and we had some good council discussions there. Well done. That was good. In that case, I would like to close tonight's meeting and remind you all that the next meeting at the Town Council is Monday, the 29th of January for budget and precept. The time is 8:26. Meeting closed.